August 1904, St. Louis, Missouri. The World's Fair was in full swing, a dazzling spectacle of American progress. But just a few miles away, another event was unfolding, one that would become a testament to human endurance, organizational incompetence, and shocking medical malpractice. This was the Olympic Marathon, a race so uniquely disastrous, it almost defies belief. Among the competitors was a man who embodied the spirit of amateurism, perhaps even its absurd extreme: Felix Carvajal de Soto. A Cuban postman, Carvajal had no official funding, but an undeniable dream. He appealed to sympathetic citizens, raising enough money for a boat ticket to New Orleans. Then the legend begins. Records show Carvajal gambled away most of his meager funds in New Orleans. Undeterred, he hitchhiked and ran the remaining distance to St. Louis. He arrived just hours before the race, hungry and disoriented, wearing the only clothes he owned: long trousers, a long-sleeved shirt, and street shoes. A quick haircut and some hastily cut shorts from his trousers, courtesy of fellow athletes, were his only preparation. This was the era of the Amateur Olympics. Yet Carvajal's predicament highlighted a fundamental flaw. The games were often an afterthought, overshadowed by the massive commercial enterprise of the World's Fair. The marathon, for many, was little more than another sideshow attraction. The race itself began at 3 p.m. on August 30th. St. Louis was baking. Temperatures soared past 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and humidity clung thick in the air. The course was a nightmare: 24.85 miles of unpaved, dusty roads, with 7 brutal hills. To make matters worse, organizers provided only 2 water stations along the entire route, both near the start, leaving runners to contend with the relentless heat and choking dust for miles. From the gun, Carvajal, despite his unconventional attire and lack of proper training, burst into the lead, his long trousers flapping, quickly outstripping his better-equipped competitors. But Carvajal wasn't just running, he was improvising. Contemporary accounts describe him stopping at a local orchard to snack on green apples, despite warnings from a fellow competitor. Later, he took a detour into a farmer's field, claiming to be craving peaches. His unconventional approach, while delaying him, may have saved him from the severe dehydration afflicting others. At one point, the story goes, he even stopped to chat with spectators, then snatched a peach from a passing official's car. His infectious good humor, even in the midst of extreme physical exertion, was legendary.
This whole event is a window into the nascent, often chaotic world of organized sports in the early 20th century. What popular retellings often miss is the sheer administrative negligence. The minimal water provision wasn't an oversight. It reflected a prevailing, misguided scientific belief of the time that drinking water during strenuous exercise was detrimental.
This was combined with a desire for spectacle over athlete welfare, typical of an era where exhibitions were king. The St. Louis Marathon wasn't designed for health or fair competition. It was designed to be a brutal endurance show, a survival of the fittest in its most literal and often fatal sense.
The lack of water and choking dust had a devastating effect. Of the 32 starters, only 14 finished. Many collapsed from heat exhaustion, dehydration, and even internal hemorrhaging from inhaling dust. One runner, William Garcia, almost died from ingesting the dust, which lacerated his stomach and esophagus. One of the most infamous incidents involved Fred Lors, who, after 9 miles, hitched a ride in a car for 11 miles due to cramps. He would later win the race, only to be disqualified when his deception was revealed. But Lors' cheating was almost overshadowed by the methods employed by the eventual winner, Thomas Hicks, a British-born American runner. Hicks was on the verge of collapse by the 10-mile mark. His 2 trainers, convinced he could still win, began administering a cocktail of stimulants. The strychnine, designed to stimulate the nervous system and muscle contractions, did offer a temporary boost, but its effects were terrifying. Hicks reportedly became delirious, experiencing hallucinations and muscle spasms. Yet his trainers, clinging to the chance of victory, continued. They reportedly gave him a second dose, followed by more brandy. He was effectively being poisoned, pushed to the absolute brink. His legs were barely moving, his body convulsing, as he was literally dragged and carried forward by his trainers for parts of the final miles, only touching the ground himself in front of officials to avoid disqualification. In a state of semi-consciousness, Thomas Hicks crossed the finish line. He had won the gold medal, but he was barely alive. It took doctors hours to revive him fully. His victory was a chilling testament to the lengths some would go and the dangers they would impose in pursuit of athletic glory. Meanwhile, Carvajal, after his snack break, his detour, and even a power nap in a ditch following cramps, eventually rallied. He continued his remarkable, if meandering, journey towards the finish.
The strychnine victory of Thomas Hicks is often recounted as a grotesque anecdote, but it reveals something deeper about the era. A primitive, often dangerous approach to sports medicine, and a blurring of lines between aid and enhancement. Doping, as we understand it, didn't exist as a concept with strict rules, so anything perceived to help was fair game, even poison.
What historians still dispute is the exact role of conscious intent versus ignorance. Was it purely a lack of understanding or a reckless gamble born of desperation for national pride and personal glory? Probably a mix, but it certainly highlights the need for robust ethical frameworks in sports, which would only begin to develop decades later.
Felix Carvajal, the Cuban postman who hitchhiked across America and ran in street clothes, eventually stumbled across the finish line, placing a remarkable 4th. He received no medal, no official recognition beyond a footnote in Olympic history, but his story transcended the grotesque drama of the race itself. He embodied a purity of amateur spirit that stood in stark contrast to the desperation and danger that defined so much of the 1904 St. Louis Olympic Marathon. It stands as a stark reminder of a time when the pursuit of glory collided violently with ignorance, negligence, and a dangerous interpretation of science. A dark mirror reflecting not just the athletes, but the era itself.